Welcome back to the channel. It's March the 6th. Glorious weather at last. So I'm getting out in the garden. Lots to do. Thought you might like to come along. We'll have a little tour of the flower farm. Get a load of jobs done. I'll tell you what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, where I'm doing it, how I'm doing it. We've got seeds to sow from Higgledy Garden. Ooh, we're going to have a wildflower patch with these. Thank you. Thanks Ben and Gemma. Much mulching to do. We're going to start with the mulching because it's kind of warming up, and on we go. Anyway, come along and hope you'll enjoy the ride. And if you're new to the channel, you're very welcome. Please do subscribe, press the bell icon, and so we'll tell you when we've got more clips coming up. And if any of the tips and tricks I give you along the way are useful, you can always buy me a coffee, or better still, join my club, where a growing community of flower mad friends are making a really great gang. 375-ish of us in the club. The links for club membership and coffee buying are in the blurb to all my clips. Right, on we go. I love that when you open up packets of seeds from Higgledy Garden, you always get personal messages, handwritten, along with gorgeous photographs of Flash, Ben's dog, who's a Hungarian Wiesler, who lives on the boat with Ben, the flower man at Higgledy Garden. And the note says, "Hey Fabrizio," in Gemma's lovely handwriting. "Hey Fabrizio, please find enclosed your direct sow wild cornfield mix, including Phacelia, cornflowers, Eschscholzia, poppies, feverfew, calendula, and Dorcas." Happy days. And I will admit, I contacted Higgledy and said, would they make this mix for me? But, so they have. And this is for a it's about 20 square meters, maybe a little bit more. And they've literally put all the seeds together in a packet for me. Ooh, very exciting. But you could make your own kind of cornfield mix for whatever goes well in your patch. If you've got a bit of spare ground that you, for whatever reason, you're not sowing up with cut flowers or planting up with perennials or anything this year, maybe just make yourself a cornfield mix, whatever you fancy, and scatter it on the ground. Right, we'll do that in a minute. Do a few things, other things first. Secretly, Fabrizio's having lunch. That's why we're juggling. And here are all the little plantlets I split after my trip to the garden centre last weekend. Do have a look at that clip to see what I found. But before I plant them, they're all sitting here in this nice, against this nice sunny wall. But I can't plant them out until I've prepared the ground. And we're a bit late because we've had such a wet winter. So we've got 3 dry days in a row starting today. So I'm getting up the field and getting as much of this mulch onto the ground as I can, because then I can plant some of those seedlings out. Go round in circles all the time. I'm always being told that it would be quicker if I did this mechanically, and it would, but it would also be noisier. I wouldn't hear the birdsong. And when I get up to the top and I'm literally putting the mulch on by hand, I won't miss treasure, which I can lift, pot up, and either keep for myself by corralling it you know, self-sown seedlings or whatever I find, corralling them into blocks for me to harvest, or if I've got plenty, there will be treasure up there which I can then put up for the plant sale, which is on the 11th of May. And if you don't know about the plant sale, do have a look. There's a whole playlist for the plant sale. So yes, I could do this more quickly. We all make choices. That's all I'm saying. Besides, Kettlebells is cancelled this week because the gym's shut for refurbishment. So this will have to do instead. You've got to take your exercise. If I spend all day trundling around in a little utility truck, I'll be even rounder. It's quite squelchy up here. We have had a lot of rain. So I'm just up here mulching round the perennials. It looks so much better where I've been. And I can see where I've got room for those perennials I split from my trip to the garden centre last weekend. I've done the roses, but the whole of the rest of this patch needs doing. So as I work along the beds, I spot things. For example, this is a little Veronica, and it's escaped down from where it lives at the other end of the bed to here. So I'm going to lift this and put it back where it belongs so that it's quicker to harvest. And look, here's another escapee and another. I must say, it does feel very, very good to have the sun on the back of your neck. And the ground may be very wet, but you know it's in pretty good heart when every time you stick the trowel in to move something, you find you're digging up a worm. If you go home again, little friend. There you go. So the other thing I'm looking out for as I mulch is with my shrubs. Sometimes they root themselves and give me a new plant, as here with this Physocarpus. Now I can leave it here, but actually if I dig it up and move it, then I fill a gap. There are two, there's several. So I'm going to dig these up, move them and give them space to grow on, because this is a really good foliage for me. The quickest way to split this Veronica, which has been in the ground for a while and is a bit congested, is with a little saw. Do be careful when you saw up your plants and wear gloves to protect your hands. I'm going to saw this into, maybe 5 or 6 plants, and the one for luck can be for the plant sale. I'm taking the spares for the plant sale back to the studio straight away. It's not hot, but the sun is quite strong and I don't want them wilting, so I'm going to pot them up right away. On days like today's, from time to time you have to go inside for a pee and a bun. Right, next up, there's this patch of ground here next to the peonies, and next winter we'll plant peonies in it, but for the moment it's just an empty patch of ground. So we're going to scatter. We're calling it a cornfield mix. It's not really, it's just sort of a mix of very tough annuals which will happily germinate and flower here and give us and all the invertebrates great pleasure and the invertebrates lunch. So Fabrizio's just raked a really nice fine tilth. There were roses here. We've lifted them and got rid of them. They weren't good. And then we put a tarpaulin over the space for the winter to keep the weeds down. Fabrizio's put a plank down so that he's not compacting the soil when he treads on it. Now we're going to broadcast the seed. So as you can see, Phacelia, cornflowers, Eschscholzia, poppies, feverfew, calendula and Dorcas. Happy days. Look at that lovely packet of seed. It's kind of exciting, isn't it? Right, I'm going to broadcast it. So I'm broadcasting it. I'm going to just put a quarter in each quarter, and then I'm going to very, very lightly rake it in. I'm not covering it. I'm just going to rake over just to get the seed to settle. I don't want it going anywhere. Okay? Ready? Steady? I feel like a lady in the olden days sowing corn. That's enough. So once I've broadcast all the seed, I take the rake and I just tamp it in, and I'm just shaking the seed into the ground like this. We've had plenty of rain. We're due a frost tonight. Hopefully, and then plenty of rain during towards the end of the week. We've got more rain, so it should germinate nicely.
We need a bit of frost, don't we, for vernalisation?
We do, Fabrizio. That's probably enough. Right, it's 4:30 and the temperature is noticeably dropping. So I'm going to go and tuck all my babies up in their greenhouses and their polytunnels. And before you say, what, knocking off already? I'm here to remind you that being busy and working long hours, being demonstrably busy and working long hours, makes you neither clever nor rich. I haven't actually finished. I've then got flowers to unpack, and I've dug up some clumps of perennials which I'm going to split for the plant sale. But first of all, I'm going to tuck all my babies up because I wouldn't want them to catch a chill, and we have a frost forecast tonight. Being always demonstrably busy just makes you really tired. Right, everybody's tucked up in the polytunnel, and while I was out sorting out the big beds, I dug up some big clumps of perennials which I can split, a bit like that little handful of Veronica, do you remember? So I'm going to sort them out now because we have a plant sale on the 11th of May, and in aid of our local we're in aid of lots of local charities, including the Growing Space in Wincanton. And I think some of you are also holding plant sales on the 11th of May in aid of your local horticultural charity, so good. So I'm going to split these and pop them up for the plant sale. But first I must just sort out the boxes of flowers that have arrived. I have to say, there's nothing like sunshine, a day of sunshine. I've been desperate for it. Right, lovely evening out there. 5:20. I'm going to settle down and listen to an hour and a half's gloomy news on the BBC. But you know, you've got to keep up to date somehow, and sort all these out, see how many plants I can make for the plant sale. And there you go, that's kind of a normal day for me at Common Farm on a sunny day in March. Of course, I didn't get outside until lunchtime because in the morning I had to do admin and writing and other things, but there you go. an afternoon in the garden. I have to say, I feel almost lightheaded with relief and vitamin D. And I feel as though, even though I'm really a month behind in the garden because it's been so wet, I feel as though if I just apply a little bicep action, it is, after all, International Women's Day this week. Apply a little bicep action, I should be able to catch up with myself. I hope you too have got a little sunshine and maybe a promise of spring in the air. If you have, make the most of it. I think we have more rain forecast for the weekend, and then carrying on for next week. But have some nice times in the garden if you can. And if you're thinking of holding a plant sale, then do dig up a few perennials and see if you can split them and make a load of new plants, which you can sell to raise money for your local horticultural charity on the 11th of May. And if you don't know how to do that, but you're within shouting distance of Common Farm here in southeast Somerset, then bring your spare plants to our plant sale. It's a bring and buy sale, and we'll sell them in aid of our local horticultural charity, the Growing Space in Wincanton, as well as the treatment bag of parish churches and the village hall. Right, better get on. Thanks very much for watching. If you do enjoy these clips, please do, it's really helpful if you like them. Just a little click on the like, and a comment is great. This on the YouTube, I answer every single comment that I get on YouTube, unlike other social media platforms where I don't always see them all because it's not so neatly laid out, whereas the Tube makes it very easy. So I tend to sit down in the morning before my day gets going and just kind of answer any comments I've had on my clips. So likes and comments, always really helpful. And in the blurb is detail about coffee buying and the club. I'll see you all very soon. Thanks for coming along.